Hello, everyone. It's me again on my lonesome, and I must say, it's kind of weird recording a podcast on your own. Like talking to yourself or to a camera with no one to bounce off feels quite strange. But we have an update on the update. So last week, for anyone that's like, what are you talking about? We decided to share the reason that we weren't putting a proper Raising the Curve episode out. And it's because we're working on a trailer for Diary of a CEO. As in, we have been asked to put something together for Stephen Bartlett. Honestly, I kind of just still can't get over this to watch. And in all honesty, this is taking much longer than we expected. We had some really good points come through from people saying, Stephen loves an origin story, like make sure you include, your personal journey and like how the curve started and blah, blah, blah. So anyway, while the advice has been amazing, it's slightly thrown us in terms of our plan. So we want to make sure that this is done really, really well. It's super amazing and like potentially the best opportunity we've ever had. And who knows what will come from it, honestly, even if all it is he watches it and says, cool podcast. I feel like that would be a win. Maybe that could be our byline for the podcast from then on out. But essentially, we're not releasing a full episode today. So this is just another little update from me. But what I did think would be a really cool thing to do today instead, if you have a story when it comes to money, or you've got a curveball, which actually I've got one that I'm going to read out in a second, or you think, do you know what would be a really cool guest for the curve? This person, whether it's someone you know or it's someone that's in the media, some of the suggestions that have come through, whether it's from yourself and it's you or hey, you should go speak to this person, have really loved that. And it's just really cool having all these little content ideas, I guess, coming through from the audience. So another example of that is what I thought we could spend today doing. And this is an email that came through from someone in the community. I'm not going to say her name because I feel like this needs to remain anonymous. But I thought I'm going to read out her dilemma. She's given me permission to do that. And if you are able to comment on this podcast, wherever you're listening, if you've got any advice or thoughts on how she should approach this, that would be amazing. If you have any that you don't think you want to post publicly, that's fine. Like get in touch with us on our DMs on Instagram or send an email. But preferably, it would be awesome for everyone else to see everyone's thoughts. So if you can comment on the podcast, that would be wicked, because I think this is a situation that so many people struggle with. So it says, hi Sophie, long-time listener, first-time caller. I'm such a fan of you girls and your mission. Absolutely love the potty. Love that. Wanted to email because I found myself in a situation that I never thought that I would be in, and I'm sure that I won't be alone in this. I've just returned to New Zealand after a long stint living and working overseas. My partner and I have just had a very exciting surprise. I am pregnant. A little earlier than we expected, but we were planning on it later this year anyway, so we are smitten. I found myself in a precarious situation though. I'm applying for jobs in an already tight market with the added anxiety of, shit, when do I need to tell them that I'm pregnant? I'm going to start showing soon, so I'm just thinking, do I wait and tell my employer until I'm offered a job? Do I wait until the first week? Does it look snaky if I don't disclose in the first interview? If I do tell them, surely they're just going to pull a pin on my application. But if I don't tell them, that's going to start us off on a really bad foot, etc., etc. All of these thoughts are swirling around in my head and no one to get solid advice from. There's no resources that I know of, and I just have this horrible feeling of being shoved out of the job market and penalised for a moment in my life that's supposed to be precious and exciting. Basically, she needs to know how she approaches this, which I just think is such a shit realisation of like, wow, yes, because it is kind of true. If you're an employer and you don't know someone's going to be taking time off, that's really hard. But also, you shouldn't be penalised just because you're pregnant. So it's a really weird situation. I'm sure there's a lot of people listening that have either been in this or have something to add. So if you have any thoughts, feedback, anything that might be helpful for our lovely listener friend who will not be named, please comment wherever you listen to this podcast. If you have a curveball that is similar to this and you want some help or advice, always get in touch. But yes, we will be back next week with normal interviews, Raising the Curve episodes, and actually really exciting, we've got Monday, so Vic's on holiday for the next couple of weeks. So Monday we've got the Curve Weekly, which is our podcast that we put out every week, which is like a, the news update, business update podcast. And we're currently searching for a co-host for me. It's quite fun doing a podcast by myself, but it's way more fun doing it with someone else. So if you are someone who, I don't know, a little bit about the markets, stock markets, finance, business, somewhat of a financial expert would be great, because that's obviously not the value that I bring to the podcast. We will link that in the podcast show notes. We would love to hear from you. And other than that, have a great week, and we will be back next week with normal podcasts. In the meantime, if you don't already follow our podcast, can you please do that? It helps us so much to grow the show and get new exciting guests on and just make our production bigger and better. So if you don't already, wherever you are listening, please follow and subscribe or whatever that is. And we'll be back next week.
Thank you so much for listening to Raising the Curve. These conversations are designed to teach you everything you need to know to be better with your money, from saving to investing to talking with your friends about your salaries, all of that stuff.
And if you like what you heard, we would love if you could please hit subscribe wherever you're listening and leave a comment. Let us know what you thought about the episode.
And it only takes 1 second, and it would really make our week, our month, our year.
Yeah.
So please do it. Okay. Love you.
Bye.
Bye.